Today on our agenda, we have the mysterious disappearance of a sea pioneer, Joshua Slocum. And I'll give you a little more information about that afterwards. And our trivia today, this is from Snippets, and it's by and large. The sailor's way of describing a passage which included bad days of headwinds, when the vessel would have to be sailed by the wind, and good days when the large or square sails could be used, giving more comfortable speed and a better speed. Sailing large was to sail with the wind abaft the beam. And so we have by and large. And who would have guessed? I certainly wouldn't have that going upwind is by and going downwind is large. So by and large. Now we're going to have the video, Joshua Slocum. It's a timeline documentary. It chronicles the life and career of Joshua Slocum, and he was the sailor who became the first solo circumnavigator of the globe. From his birth in Nova Scotia in 1844 to his mysterious disappearance at sea in 1909, this film offers an in-depth view of a fearless and charismatic sailor, writer, and adventurer. It's narrated by Patrick Watson, and some of you may remember him as a Canadian who did a series called The Canadians. And there's also a cameo appearance by Peter Rowe, who occasionally joins us at Shellbacks and has been here to do presentations. I guess I'd like to say a couple of things. I was astounded. I did not understand how many replicas of the ship have been recreated. It's a huge testament to how important that boat was, especially the fact that it seemed to be able to sail without a helmsman. And I mean, we used to try to get, I guess the first boat we had, which was a Bayfield, to sail without with nobody on the helm, and it would do it for a short period of time, but then it didn't maintain it. And so I think the design of that boat must be exemplary for what it was able to do. And I also thought it was really interesting about the Liberdade, and I don't know if there are any other videos out there about that, but it might be interesting to search that out. I wanted you also to know that upcoming, because I haven't successfully filled all our slots and some of my requests have been turned down, or well, do this in the fall kind of thing, we're going to be seeing the last few sessions, other than the very last one and mine, about the rescue of the Manhattan folks during 9/11. The rest of them will be videos, but there is a huge number of videos out there about sailing, and many of them are exceptionally well done. So it shouldn't be bad. What was your question, Julia?
Well, actually, we have somebody who raised their hand first. Jim? Jim, go ahead.
Two questions. What was the, someone mentioned where one could go and sail on a shared boat?
Oh, that was John who said something about that. Is he still with us? No, I think he's the one who had to leave. John Buckingham. So I can't answer that. Did anybody take a note of that? I'll find out, Jim.
Thank you. And the other question I have is, what was Laurel Green's boat? And are you still going to sell it?
Laurel, are you still there? Oh, yes.
Yes, my boat is a Formula PC 37. And yes, I'll sell it. Would you like to buy it?
Maybe. My email is on my picture. You can note that.
Okay,
You see it?
yes.
Okay, that's my regular email. And I would like to have a look at it, please.
Okay,
Okay,
you.
okay, thanks.
And
Ron,
Diane, thank you marvelously for the Slocum movie.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it?
Definitely.
Especially that it gave his whole life.
okay, next up, Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Slocum's works are old enough now that they're not under copyright. And I put a link to the Voyage of the Liberdade, where it can be found at the Project Gutenberg online.
Right. So
So
you
you
got
can-
it on the website?
I put a link there to the Project Gutenberg entry for the Voyage of the Liberdade. You can download a text file or a PDF if you wanted to look at it.
Okay, that's terrific. Thank you.
Okay. Robert Silcox, go ahead.
This is just a little aside, knowing the name Slocum. I served under Captain Slocum in the U.S. Navy in the early 50s. And for all I know, he could have been a grandson, but spelt the same way.
Wow, interesting.
Just-
You know,
Just
there
an
are
aside.
no, it's not an aside, actually. There are 6 degrees of separation amongst so many of us. I mean, Julia's talked about connections through Seamus, who went to Australia and was there at the same time as her husband was. And so, I mean, there are just so many connections in the world. So thank you, Robert, for that little bit of trivia. Julia, I think you're up.
Have any of you sailed around the world? And how long did it take? I mean, that's huge to do it more than once.
Yeah. You know who has circumnavigated the world is, he hasn't been at Shellback's in a while, and he's done some presentations. No, come on, you can help me here.
Kenneth St. Peter,
Who?
Kenneth St. Peter Boger.
Oh, yes, that's right. But there's somebody else who's done presentations for Shellback's, and his name is going right out of my head.
Was it Christopher?
No, not Christopher Hope.
In North South America.
David, he sailed the Northwest Passage, and he's circumnavigated the world. I'll get that name and I'll let you know, because we've got some, we do have some presentations up that he has done, and you'd be able to take a look at some of those as well. I
Yeah,
think
he was a young guy. I think 2 or 3 years ago, he did the presentations. I can't remember his last name. Sally might.
just a second, I can look it up. But anyway, go on with questions or comments if there are any others, and I'll just get that for you.
Okay, Seamus, go ahead, unmute yourself.
I found the story about Joshua Slocum. I didn't know he was a Canadian. I'm glad to find that out. And but I was absolutely fascinated with how he started out so poor, only had 2 years of education, and how he mastered all these various skills, and including the lunar method of sailing. And I found it interesting. He must have carried a goat on board because it ate up his charts. But what I found most interesting was that when the decline of sailing came, which reminds me of a bit like today, the technological age came about 20 years ago, he had quite a reaction to it because he kind of felt his world was being taken away. And but still he persisted, and he never gave up. And I'm sorry that he had the ending he had, but I think it's very fitting that he is forever in Davy Jones. That's where sailors go when they're buried at sea, right?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So it was absolutely fascinating story and inspirational. Thank you very much.
Good.
Okay, next
Janet.
up is Janice. Go ahead.
Okay, my comment is a little sidebar. I'm a old public health nurse, and I recall in my studies learning how people resisted going into the sea, not talking about sailing now, but just the idea of walking into the sea, let alone any any notion of swimming in it. And it was feared and considered a very unhealthy adventure until I maybe in a little later than Joshua Slocum's time. I'm a little vague on my dates, but that thinking began to loosen, and people were, for medicinal purposes, carried into the ocean, perhaps thinking that the salt water was going to be beneficial. So I'm trying to put that bit of culture, that cultural practice of avoidance of the sea, into the Joshua Slocum era, where he was so unafraid of it, and I guess others around him as well. That's just a comment.
Oh, fascinating, fascinating. I mean, I've always considered the sea to be healing. I didn't realize that there was a time when it wasn't considered so.
Yes, that was so.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, well, if we have no other comments or questions or bits of information, let me just tell you what's coming up next week. We have Gord Lacko, and he's an internationally acclaimed historical consultant specializing in the 16th to early 20th century military history, especially naval history. He's also widely recognized as a leading expert in yacht and sail ship outfitting. He returns to speak for the third time and has, well, I was going to say has yet to choose his topic, but he's going to be speaking about outfitting ships, outfitting historic and currently operating sailing ships. And he also is a consultant for the making of movies. And then on March 16th, we'll have another video, and this will be about Roald Amundson's expedition with the Gioja, which was first to navigate the Northwest Passage north of the Canadian mainland on one expedition and one ship. In 1903 to 1906, Amundsen accomplished this with 6 companions. 2 years were spent on the way, and when the then location of the North Magnetic Pole was established, proving that the magnetic pole moves over time. And we'll watch 2 videos. One's from the Fram Museum, and the other one is from the Vancouver Maritime Museum. They are not too long, and so there's a little bit of extra time. And Noel Leon has 2 short 5-minute videos of the grounding of the DS Olaf Berg in March of 1941 on the beach at Ocean City, Maryland. They show the last rescue using a breeches buoy, and I have no idea what that is, so we'll find out when we see the video. It's the first using a breeches buoy on the east coast of the US. And of importance there, his father was part of the crew of that ship, which is why he has those 2 videos. And just a little aside, it was Richard Hudson who gave us those presentations and has done the Northwest Passage. So you can look him up on our website if you're interested in seeing any of his presentations. He has circumnavigated the world and gave us several presentations on several legs of his voyages. And so with that, we have Pipes Out. Thank you so much, everybody. And if you're interested in joining us afterwards, do sign up for a breakout room.